Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I rebuild the Carter dual action fuel pump for my 1966 Scout 800. Bonus, I installed the fuel pump onto the 152 Comanche engine. I will show all the details. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I will assemble the Carter dual action fuel pump for my 1966 Scout 800. So let's get to work. In a previous video, I disassembled this fuel pump, cleaned everything up, soaked it in carburetor cleaner, made sure all the surfaces were flat. Starting at the bottom, this is the sediment bowl, which screws on here with this bail. Here's the gasket for the sediment bowl. This is the fuel inlet port here. The inlet and outlet valves consist of three pieces: a rubber plate, and a spring, and a rivet. This is the rocker arm that runs off the camshaft, and it ties in to here into the main fuel pump diaphragm assembly. Push that down, the fork goes in there. We turn it over. On the top, this is the vacuum pump, and there's a vacuum port here. So you don't really need to mark the orientation of this because it can only go one way, because the vacuum port has to go here. The wiper goes here, and this line goes to the intake manifold for vacuum. So you vacuum from the engine here. They call this a vacuum diaphragm too. It's just two plates with an O-ring and a push rod. The push rod goes down through here. So this goes up and down. You see the push rod goes up and down with the rocker arm action, right? So this is pushing the push rod, and on the other side, it's hooked in to this main vacuum diaphragm, and it's pulling, right? So the rocker arm pulls the fuel pump diaphragm up. It pushes the push rod up and down. This is the diaphragm here. It's like a piston. It screws onto the push rod, right? So the piston, or the diaphragm, screws onto the push rod, goes up and down. It's got a big O-ring, right? And on top of that, there's a big spring. And this is not a gasket. Right here is where the pulsator diaphragm goes, and it just goes right on there like that. That's the pulsator diaphragm. The pulsator diaphragm dampens fuel pressure variations. It's worth noting that if you have a vintage part, this should be soaked in kerosene. But if you have a modern aftermarket part that is ethanol resistant, don't soak it because it will swell up and distort. I like to blow through all these things here. So you have a vacuum port here. If they blow through it, air comes out here, but that's where that other little plug goes, right? But it also comes out here in this port. Right? There's another hole here. If you blow in this hole, air comes out here. And it's just a vent. So I'm ready to assemble the pump. Attention, fellow Scout enthusiasts. Thanks for watching. I hope that you're getting useful insights from my videos. If I can earn 1,000 subscribers, I will be able to create Scout videos for a long time. Please like and subscribe. so that we can continue this journey for years to come. I will show all the details. Over and out. So I'm going to install the two valves in the vacuum pump. This one goes this way, air goes through there, and this one goes this way, so air can come in this way. I'll just try to take this out for a minute, gently tapping this, see how it goes in there. Seems to be going in pretty good. Just never want to hit things too hard. I think I can go in a bit more. There. Now this one goes the other way around. Just taking a look at this, and this is the vacuum port here, which goes to the wiper. So this is the diaphragm assembly here. I'm going to spray a little bit of silicone lubricant on the end here, just because I like it to be moist, right? Now put that on the top here. It goes in like that. And if I push down, you can see the stem coming down. So now, this is the rocker arm here. This part here faces the top of the fuel pump. So we're at the bottom, so it goes that way, right? And then this fork here, you see this little fork here, push this down, push this in here, and now I got it hooked, you see? It's hooked on there, right? So now I can turn this. Here's my new pin. Notice this pin has a groove in it. The other one didn't. The hole on this side is smaller. The pin goes in the bigger hole, and it goes through the rocker arm. Here's the pin, right? I just take the pressure off, put the pin in. But the pin's not centered yet. This pin is shorter than the original pin. There now, I pushed it in a little more. Now I can see it on the other side. So this pin cannot come out the smaller hole on the other side. It doesn't need this clip. This is the new soft plug that came in the kit. So I'm just going to tap that in there. That's pretty darn tight going in there. There. So that pin is never going to come out of there. This rod moves. See? If I pull up this rod, the diaphragm is going down, right? The other thing we need is this spring. The spring goes on this little bump here, and there's a tab right here. So I've got the spring on the tab in the rocker arm, and I just want to get it onto that bump. So I pry. There. I got it on there. The spring is on the little ball and it's on the tab, right? Now I'm going to put the valves in the fuel pump section. First thing that goes in there is this rubber washer, and then this little spring goes in here, small end up, and then it's the rivet. I get through the rubber, I'm going to find the hole, and there it sort of feels like it's right. You got a brass drift here. I'm just going to tap it. See if it's going in or not. Tap that. Okay, it's going in. Pretty tricky to get started. I'm just tapping it in. I want it to come through the other side and protrude about 1/16 of an inch.
It's still just flush. Now, starting to come through. That's about a 1/16. We have our little valve here. Very delicate. Now I have to turn it over, and the other valve goes here, like that, with the spring, the rivet. I want to look on the other side. Yeah, I'm lined up perfectly. Doesn't hurt to look. Now, just want to hold that. See if I can get it started. There. It's well started. Same thing, has to go through and protrude about a 1/16 of an inch. Have a look at it. So the rivet is supposed to protrude about a 1/16 of an inch. That's 0.0625. This flat washer here is pretty close to 0.0625 thick. So I'm using that as a reference, and I didn't knock this valve in far enough according to that, right? So I'm going to give it another tap. 2 taps, right? Now I can put this washer on there again. Still needs another tap according to my washer. Now that's flush with the washer, so I'm happy with that. Now this one here, of course this washer doesn't fit in here, but needs another tap too. 2 taps. 2 taps, and 1 more tap. 1 more tap. So there's those 2 valves installed, inlet and outlet. This is the outlet, this is the inlet. So there's the pulsator diaphragm. This is the bottom of the pump. There's my scribe marks there. So that's the way it was together before, right? So now, just have to turn that over. Pulsator diaphragm goes over, it covers the big hole. Now this should go like this, right? I'm just gonna pick it up and turn it over. See if I can line my holes up a little bit better. Okay. I put a little bit of silicone spray lube on these screws because I don't like putting a dry screw in anywhere. So now I'll just run them in with this little screwdriver. There. There. Just got to grab a big screwdriver. Tighten these 2 screws. I think they don't need to be too tight. Okay, this is the gasket for the sediment bowl. This is the fuel filter. It's a used one. It's just going on there for this video. Later on, when I get a new filter, then the spring goes on top of that. And I have a glass bowl here. So the glass bowl goes down like that against the spring, right? Make sure it's fully seated. And then this bail goes on here. It clips in here and here, right? So it's clipped in. It's on top. I'm just going to turn this screw in a bit. Make sure everything's centered. There's a little place on the bottom of the bowl for that. Okay, now we'll tighten that up. Get it centered. Let's loosen it off a little bit. Move it over. Tighten that up. It doesn't need to be super tight. This is the top of the vacuum pump. It's marked man for manifold and wiper. So now there's 2 more valves to install here. This one goes in here and it just goes flush. So I'm just going to gently tap that in flush. To be very careful, just tap everything gently, make sure it's going in straight. No room for error. Just a hair more. It's in there. The other check valve goes over here. In there, the other way around, obviously. Tap that in. One more. I think that should be good. So they're both in there. I can test these two valves now. This one is marked wiper here. I have to cover this hole here so I can blow, but I can't suck. This other one goes to the manifold. I should be able to suck and not blow. There, perfect. Working fine. Good to go. So I think I'll put these 3 brass fittings in. This one here goes to the intake manifold. I'm just going to put thread sealer on all the threads. Just a light coating of thread sealer on this one. And the straight fitting goes in the outlet. The 45-degree fitting goes on the inlet. There we have it. I would just like to test these check valves. So this is the inlet. This one here is the inlet, right? I should be able to blow in the inlet and not suck. Okay, good. And this is the outlet. So I should be able to suck on the outlet and not blow. Good. So everything's good. Now I'm ready to put the fuel pump casting onto the bottom of the pump. So these diaphragms, they're actually bigger. It looks like it's the wrong diaphragm. The radius of the holes is bigger than the radius of the holes here. First thing you're going to do is turn this till the correct holes line up for the screws, right? So I've got that done like that. Now I found my old scribe marks, and then I just highlighted them with a Sharpie. There's one here and there's one here. So that means this goes this way, right? So the first thing I want to do is just very carefully start 2 screws. Just get them started. Make sure they go through the diaphragm. So there's one there. And I have to kind of hold this down. Get some more light here. Now, to make sure this screw here goes through the diaphragm. It's through the diaphragm. I just want to get it started in that hole. Okay, so I got it started. Let's see, the other side wasn't started. Okay, so I have 2 screws started. But if I just ran those screws in and tightened them up, it would be a disaster. So what I got to do is put a crescent wrench on this arm here and push up so that it sucks the diaphragm down in. And then very carefully start some more screws. Just hold it up like that. I'll go with my little awl. Make sure that hole is lined up. There. Now, get that through the diaphragm. Started. Just have to make sure to keep holding this up. Go a little awl. Again. Get another screw started. Same thing over here. Okay. And the last one, and I can see through there, that's good. Just drop my screw in there. Okay, now that screw started. Now, I'm gently moving the rocker arm up and down. I'm just slowly tightening from side to side. All right. Running these screws in. I'm not tightening them fully yet. I'm watching the diagram to see how it's compressing. Right. Moving it back and forth so it can sort of center itself. Hold that up again. Seems pretty good.
I'm tightening the screws in increments.
They're snug, but not tight. Now if I put my finger on the inlet, yeah, see? Put my finger on the inlet. I don't know if you can hear that. Try it again. Look at that. If I pump it twice, cool. So it's all working. Everything's fine. So I just do my final tightening on these screws. Go from side to side. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Okay, it's another stage of the job done. I'm back over at the bench here. There's one more plug that's to go in here. So I'm just going to tap that in with a hammer. Well, that's in there good.
This is the push rod.
It goes down in the hole in the top because the rocker arm pushes it up against the spring and the spring pushes it back down. So this flat washer has to go on here first. Then this is the lower part of the diaphragm. Carter called it a diaphragm. I would be more inclined to call it a piston. So this is the seal, which is just a big flat O-ring, and it goes over top. But you can't get it to stay in place because you have to stretch it and it keeps popping off. And we don't want it to be in between. So I put the top half on. This is how I did it. Washer, lock washer, and the nut. So put that together like that very loosely. Putting the seal in the groove. Stretching it as I go. Being very careful not to nick it or damage it or anything, right? Now, there it is. Now the seal's in there and I know it's on the groove, right? So the next thing I have to do is I don't want to tighten that because I got to get it down in the hole. So I got to get this seal in as much as I can. Now I'm going to go over to the pump and install it. So now I'm over at my other bench with the smaller vise because this pump wouldn't fit properly into the big vise. And I'm putting a little bit, very little bit of synthetic grease. The reason I use synthetic grease is it's a very cold country here. And we just got through minus 45. We have 10 days between minus 40 and minus 45. So that gives you a good example of the temperatures we can get here. So put a little bit of grease there, a little bit of grease in the hole here, and grease on the push rod, and on the end of it, that's where it contacts the rocker arm. And I'm putting a little bit of grease on this O-ring here, more here, just so it's slippery. Now I can just set that on there, put that pin in the hole. Remember, this nut's not tight yet, and this is why. Help the rubber go down into the hole. You don't want to damage the seal in any way. Oh, there it is. Now, so that's down there. You can see the push rod's pushing it up. Dry that off. I have to tighten this nut. The nut takes a 7/16 wrench. Now the pin's turning. So if I push down, or maybe pull up, no, push down. I took the diaphragm back out, tightened the nut properly, and put it back in again. And I forgot to film it. So, I'm gonna put the big spring in there, put the gasket on, right? And then I want something to line everything up. Okay, so I put some 2 1/4 inch nails in here through the gasket and into the hole, just to try to hold things in place. And now I'm going to have to compress that spring, right? And start the screws. So I'm going to put a screw in here, like that. I guess I'll put 2 screws in. I'll take this nail out of here. And a screw in there through the gasket. So we got 2 screws through the gasket. And my screwdriver in my hand. Pushing down on this. Got one started. There. Couple more turns. Here. So I got 2 screws started. I'm just going to run them in a little bit. And take this nail out. Start another screw. Same thing here. Start another screw. Run these in a little by little. A few turns here, a few turns there. Final tightening. Tight. So there we have it. A rebuilt fuel pump. Ready to go. Nothing wrong with that. It's going to be a good pump. I have to order a filter. Goes on the engine like that. So the wiper would connect here and the manifold goes here. Okay, I'm happy. Now I'm ready to install the rebuilt fuel pump in the 1966 Scout 800. I have a new gasket and I've got thread sealer on the bolts. So let's get to work. Before installing the fuel pump, I need to see where the lobe is on the camshaft. So I'm putting my finger in here and the lobe is down. If I turn the engine 1 revolution, the camshaft will turn half a turn. So that's the first thing I have to do. Yeah, that's what we want. So I'll go get the fuel pump. Okay, I'm going to see if I can fit this fuel pump in there. Put RTV sealant on the gasket, thread sealer on the bolts, and milling engine assembly lube on the rocker arm where it contacts the camshaft. So now I'm going to slip this up there like that. Get on the other side. Maybe go like that. Get the arm in there, but I have to get the other side of that. Now my gasket came off, you see. Never mind right now. I just want to get 1 bolt started. Then I'll fix the gasket. I think I gotta try getting that other bolt from up top. So I got the other bolt started from the top. The pump's sitting in nicely. The gasket's lined up nicely. Everything's good. Just threading that in by hand. Just snugging it. Gonna go up top and make sure it's going in straight. And everything's flush. Everything looks good up here. The pump is straight. Okay, I'm gonna try tightening that from underneath. 1/4 inch drive. ratchet. Yeah, I'm on the bolt. It's working. There. Okay, that's tightening up nicely, like that. Okay, that one's pretty tight. So the only thing is, I need a filter, and I need to make a fuel line from the tank to here, and I need to make a fuel line with an inline filter to the carburetor. But she's good to go now. Another part on the Scout. Right on.
In conclusion, the rebuild went very well with no problems. It's going to be pumping fuel and creating vacuum for many years to come. My next video will be steering wheel restoration. I will show all the details. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.